Alright, today we're going to be ranking every single DLC 5 Zombies map in franchise history. This is the most comprehensive DLC ranking on YouTube because not a lot of people have done it. How I'm ranking this is atmosphere, Easter egg, just overall gameplay, and how I feel about coming back to these maps. I won't be ranking everything individually, so if there's more than one map in a DLC 5 package, I won't be ranking them separately. They'll all be grouped into one entry. Remember, this is my ranking and my ranking only, so if your dead last is my number one, or my number one is your dead last, let me know in the comments. Don't take it so seriously. And alright, let's get into it. Coming in at dead last is Rex and Furnace. This is the last map of BO7, and kind of the last map of Dark Ether storyline. As we know as of the moment, this map isn't too bad. Obviously, it's dead last because I would rather play the DLC 5 maps above it, but I do think this map has a special place in my heart. Obviously, this just came out in the last couple weeks. The atmosphere is awesome. The 4 groups of area branching off from the middle is a cool layout idea with all the Shadow Smiths that you battle throughout the story of BO7. The Easter egg is pretty solid, even though it's mostly the same after a while. You do it in every single area instead of something new each time. I do think some of the aspects of the Easter egg are kind of rough though. The arranging of the light in a specific area is silly because you have to get it in a certain angle, and if you don't get it right, you waste rounds just trying to get it perfect. If it was fixed, the Easter egg would be a lot better. The wonder weapon of this map is great, even though it's not really that unique. It's basically a crossbow, but it does have a special ability with the tornado, which is kind of cool, and the quest to get it is pretty sweet. I think that it's one of the best wonder weapon quests in BO7. I do think if it was an elemental wonder weapon, it would be even better though. You got 4 areas, so make it do fire, ice, earth, and something else tied to each Shadow Smith. They didn't have to tie it to the main Easter egg, just make it a side quest. That would have made the map so much better. Overall, I do think the map is great. The boss fight is pretty good, but I'm having a lot of troubles with it. I did finish it, but I have a lot of issues with the boss fight as being a solo player. The hitbox of the Warden feels a little too big, so you get knocked around the map a little bit more than you should. I don't like how when you fall off the map, you lose quite a bit of armor. The amount of armor you lose in the boss fight in general feels like way too much. You have to focus on the zombies instead of him because of it. My first time doing the boss fight, I completely botched it because I went in blind. I brought in the Nova line and Ether Shroud and made the mistakes of bringing decoys. To me, it felt very hard if you're not looking up a guide for it. The grappling gun as a specialist in this map is super cool and very unique. I just don't think it's utilized very well outside of the Easter egg steps and the wonder weapon quest. Even in the boss fight, you technically can use it, but I feel like a lot of people I've seen haven't used it, so there's not really a point, especially when you have to replace your tactical equipment like the Casimirs or the decoy. Coming in at number 1, which I think a lot of people will agree with, is Zombie Chronicles from BO3. This is mostly just remasters of BO1 and BO2 maps, but I do think it's pretty good in terms of how much content you get for a price that's not too bad. I mean, it is kind of expensive for DLC, but during this time, every DLC was expensive. Since these are just remasters, they don't really add anything besides fiction issues and having everything run in the BO3 engine, which is a lot better than BO1 and BO2's engine. But I do think a lot of the maps could have been improved upon. I know it's mostly remastered, but I feel like they could have added like a pack punch to some of the maps that didn't have it, or made little tweaks here and there to Origins or Knock, just small improvements. That said, the way they did Zombie Chronicles is probably one of the greatest DLCs in existence for COD Zombies. And obviously it is the most stacked DLC in the franchise since it has 8 maps. It also came out at a weird time. After BO3 ended with Revelations, we thought we weren't going to get anything else and we would just have to wait for BO4. But then, lo and behold, a new DLC was announced. DLC 5 with the Zombie Chronicles. It was a nice change of pace because normally you get 4 DLCs with maps and call it a day. With this, it's like, oh, we're getting new content that we didn't expect. I do hope that Zombie Chronicles 2 comes out. I know it's not going to be called that or any version of that, but I do think BO7 needs this kind of thing. Maybe just bring back the BO6 maps. I think that alone would be good. Or even port some of the Cold War maps. Or just the entirety of the Dark Ether Saga maps into BO7. Since it's pretty much the same engine from BO6 to BO7, I feel like they could do that. Alright, that was my ranking of every single DLC 5 zombie map in franchise history. Now, obviously, people are going to say, oh, but you didn't add so-and-so because it's technically considered DLC 5. Like, for example, Forsaken could be considered the 5th zombie map in Cold War since Outbreak wasn't really a traditional map, but I'm counting this as specifically the 5th DLC package that came out, not the 5th map that in the game. So Moon and Origins won't be counted in this list since it was DLC 4. This is strictly, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.